name is Kelly Wolf, and you're watching Cole's Epilogue. Let's get into it.
It'd be nice to have one of our mixed cocktail options. I'll get it. I got it. I'll get that right to you. He thanked her as she spun on her heels and made a beeline to the drink counter. At the same time, more servers began pouring into the space from the opposite direction. They were spreading out between tables, collecting orders from the rest of the guests. One of the darkly dressed figures stood out from the rest of you. The perfect poison not to herald place, Baxter stood on silent to supervise the process. He was well into his work. Servers ebbed and flowed between tables and as drinks were provided to each individual who requested one. That wasn't where it stopped. Bowls of soup were then carried out before the main course. Cove took in the satisfied inhalation of the steam coming off the soup. You could catch a whiff of the scent yourself. It was savory and rich. He scooped out a spoonful and dug right in. The rest of the guests followed, taking the first taste of what you had to offer them. Prior to discussions were had between bites, there were plenty of compliments. Your mom, Miranda, and Liz sounded especially pleased with how it came out. They were trying to the others at their table about the sour flavors. And many of your attendees used the extra spice that had been available. Cliff, Kyra, Ma, Terry, and Derek, and your unlovely husband added their own levels of added heat. Your meal, you added a moderate amount of spice. It was delicious and exactly what you had wanted. Mom's Jova tone carried itself about the rest of the voices. So, how much are we in here? There were the appetizers from before, now there's more. And the meal hasn't even shown up. I've lost count of keeping track already. Oh, I asked. It's a 4-course meal, not counting dessert. I'm impressed, though not surprised with those kids. I'll have leftovers for tomorrow. When the bowls were polished clean, the servers began to reappear. They bring the dishes away to make room for some more. The main course was ready, and the guests were ready for it. You and Cove had the dish placed in front of you. First, Cove shifted back and forth, letting out a sigh of squeak. When the rest of the plates were brought out, you could pick out O's and L's about how amazing it looked and how generous the generous portion size. You even heard the mention of the swells on the dishes by some discounting guests. Very few words were spoken as the dinner truly began. Everyone began fully immersed in that food. It was quite the hit. The guests were given time to enjoy their meals while they refreshed before the reception events continued as you had planned. Baxter strolled up against the counter side on the opposite end of the head of the table. You had a perfect view of it. Casually, he took up the microphone that he used throughout the rest of the evening to make another announcement. Good evening from the staff and I'd like to thank you all for being such lovely guests to serve. We hope you've enjoyed your dinner. Now, this mic will be left open for a time to allow anyone who wishes to make a speech about the couple. You're all welcome to share memories, words of congratulations, and/or your appreciation for Kelly and Cove Wolfholden, if you feel comfortable doing so. He didn't hog the mic any longer than necessary, placing it back down on the center of the stand as soon as his brief message had been made clear. Baxter directed a soft smile down to you and Cove as he left the space open for others to speak. Another rhythm began to play out next to you. Cove's fingers were drummed against the edges of the table. He watched the furrow grow deeper into his brows. He was preparing himself for whatever was about to be said. There would likely be some friendly teasing. Almost certainly he was going to get emotional again. Once the mic was available, the first person to stand was your ma. She hopped right up and made her claim to the front table. Softly she spoke across the space directly to young Cove. Her words were being carried through the air where you sat. Congratulations to my wonderful children. This wedding goes like a dream, much as my own did when I was around your age. I had tilted to the side towards the other guests and began a formal speech.
Well,
Our Kelly has been a joy to our family's lives, and everyone else who has met them, since the day we were brought together. But watching how they've grown with Cove has been special. The way Kelly treasured the little stuffed dolphin keychain Cove brought them, even using it as their cell phone charm as soon as they got one. Seeing how sweetly they shared their treats together when they could. Was the one long weekend where Cove came day after day to take Callie on calming trips for no special reason at all. Her eyelids rested closed as she let out a sentimental sigh. And I could keep going, there's so many memories. Callie can clear the tears from his eyes better than anyone else when they weren't the ones causing them. Happy tears, of course. It was still beautiful, and still is. Her tender gaze shifted to the two of you once more, signaling the end of her talk had arrived.
I love you.
I can only hope you'll be able to continue growing together for many more years to come. I love you both very much. Your husband's eyes had already been misting. After knowing her for all this time, Cove developed a deep affection for Matt. Hearing that she cherished those important memories the same you and he did had an impact. He slipped the mic into its proper place, brushed her at her bangs, and walked to a seat to get on light steps. Your mom brushed down her dress as she stood up on her feet and began to walk. This was her chance to take the stage, and she was going for it. When she put one hand on the mic, the tip of her finger tapped the top of it doing a sound test. The puff of sound echoed, and your mom was satisfied with that. Keely lifted her head up high, facing the crowd and smiling merrily.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming today, and for all the gifts you brought. I don't know how we're gonna pack it all up and get it to that place, but we'll make it work. Where there's a will, there's a way. And there's a similar louder face. It's not fully muttering yet. Well, Callie, Cove, our families went through a ride with the two of you being brought together. Talk about a force of nature. You're attached to the hip as soon as you met and have been ever since. And Cliff almost had a heart attack when we took out... And Cliff almost had a heart attack when we all took that RV out and Cove had disappeared from a sleeping bag in the morning. It turned out that he had snuck up into the loft with Callie. Grinning ear to ear, lost in those old memories, she shook her head. But at the end of it all, I think you were good influences on each other. Or, at least you made one another very happy. And that's good enough in my mind. And, you know, we really needed a son in there to round things out. Mom snorted in laughter at her own mind. She waved that away with her free hand, wanting to be more serious. When she could muster the even tone she had been aiming for, your mom finished her speech.
Love you.
I love you, kiddos. And it's true that you're hard-working adults. But don't ever forget that your ma and I are here if you need something. Your family will always be there. He had able to coax out some chuckles from Cove throughout. He was mostly amused over her penchant for jokes than actual jokes themselves. But the laughter had been shaky with emotion. He really had come to love your mom. With a pleased grin, Mom left the mic behind to return to a spot right beside her wife. Smooth as silk, Liz rose from her seat and glided across the floor to the speaker's stand. But Liz took her time before saying anything, evening out her bangs, clearing her throat, fiddling with the angle of the mic when she did take a hold of it. She didn't have a care in the world. That can be said for everyone. And Cove tensed in the apprehension of whatever she was going to say. He knew. He had to know what she was planning. Luckily for him, she did eventually begin her speech and his suspense. As I'm sure many of you know, I'm Callie's older sister. So one of the very few people who've been around here longer to one of the very few people who have been around them longer than their husband. She was smirking already 2 sentences in. We're pretty close, the thing is a thing. He flicked the hand without the mic in a non-committal half shrug. But honestly, Callie, if I had realized you'd be marrying that new kid back when I was 10, I might have had to disown you. A scrawny, grumpy boy who didn't even know how to play pretend, right? Certainly not. Even if I did joke about that happening. Hey! Her gasped indignantly as she would say such things, but things being said, continued on, regardless of his objection. And yet here we are, at your wedding to that very crybaby.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. Exasperated to Liz's angle for her congratulations speech, Cove slunk lower in his seat and took the drink in both of his hands. Sipped out the juice like a curious elementary school kid. Her head slowly shook at the ends of the eyebrows bent, and less crooked smile came to her face. The time wasn't silly anymore. But with all that out of the way, what I actually want to say now is that you made the right choice. He's the one for you. Day after day, week after week, year after year. Cove was there, even more than I was a lot of the time. Don't get your hopes up about this meaning that I'm done teasing you about it. But for today, I want to thank you, Cove. Those big, watery eyes of yours never lost sight of Callie since they caught them.
Thank you.
It brings peace to my heart to know that there's another person out there who cares for them as deeply as they deserve to be. Oh. You didn't have another comment then. Liz's grin widened as if she knew the exact reaction she'd been getting. Congratulations to my good old baby sibling and my new baby brother. Love you. With that, she towed the mic towards the two of you, as though she was toasting a glass. At the last moment, Liz made Cove smile, and his white eyes were as damp as she had described. Liz daintily left the microphone where it belonged and returned to her chest, fully satisfied. There were clattering of silverware and dishes as Lee sprung out of her table. She skipped away, not paying any mind to that. She was too impatient for the chance to talk. Somehow it reminded you of all those times you chatted over the phone. The fun and excitement of sharing what was going on, even when you weren't right next to each other. She took the mic right into her hand, projecting plenty of stage presence in standing in front of an audience. My cousin Callie and I are the same age. We got to grow up together. Because of that, I've gotten the joy of watching the story of them and their next-door neighbor Cove. They were totally just friends at first. Then when romance finally happened, I was invested in the twists and turns of the tale. This couldn't have ended better. I'm your biggest fan. But, as happy as I really am about your own adventures in love and marriage, the best part has happened to me. The best part for me has been my own relationship with the two of you. Leandra took a moment to slow down and express her thoughts with complete honesty. Callie, you're among my closest family and very best friend. In Cove, you're not just my cousin's husband, you're my friend too. And my family, just the same. Congrats on your stunning future together. I love you. I love both of you. Aww. Cove had to bite his lip to keep it from wobbling. The earnestness truly had touched him. A high-energy attitude quickly returned, though Lee dropped the mic down, blew a couple of kisses your way before she switched back to her seat. Derek came up from the area to give his own talk. He had a relaxed stance when he grabbed the mic and waved over the head table.
Congrats.
Hey, congratulations again to you, Callie and Cove. You found your other halves, and anyone can see it. You're good for each other, and you're good to each other. Whether you got married or not, no one would have questioned that commitment, though it's been a hell of an event too. The first lines of the speech were for you and Cove, but Derek then turned outwards to the audience to address the rest of the crowd. One time, when we were barely teenagers, we went to a mall and there were these wind chimes that Cove was eyeballing, but wouldn't stop to get it. And then, Callie got him one.
Oh, man.
And Cove still has it! That's impressive. Her jaw dropped. You never realized Derek noticed any of that. You snuck a glance at Cove. He was sending you the same side-eye look of shock. The two of you sat there, having to accept that you weren't a cell with your affections as you assumed. Derek had been polite about it. Derek beamed with the boy's charm, looking just like he did the first time you'd met him. Thanks for being my friend. Been a pleasure to know you. It's been a pleasure to know you two. Derek's heartfelt appreciation had to be awkwardly interrupted with one quick addendum. Oh, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting that time management thing under control. He took chuckles from the crowd in good stride and wrapped things up for real.
Thank you.
But thank you for letting me talk. Carefully, Derek tucked the microphone back into its stand. When he let it go, he hovered his hands nearby for a second to catch it if it fell. When he was sure it was well, he nodded confidently and lightly jogged to his seat. Cove watched the entire exit with a smile growing larger and larger on his face. A beat passed, then Miranda stood. She gripped the front of her flowing dress, pulling it up from the ground as she walked over to the mic. Her shoulders were slightly hunched up, and her head was low. If she wasn't surrounded by tables full of people watching, you might have thought she was sneaking out of bed while trying not to get caught by her parents. When Miranda finished tiptoeing up to the front, she gathered the microphone in both of her hands, eyes closed rather than directly facing the crowd. She may not have been comfortable with public speaking, but her desire to participate outweighed that.
Hi.
Hi. Cove's focus was set ahead, but you called tell the peripherals of your own gaze that your husband mouthed hided back to her instinctively. Thank you, Callie, Cove, for inviting me. It's been a wonderful day. I'm so happy for you two. The stiffness in her presentation smoothed out the more she got to talking. She was even able to giggle, and her affectionate feelings for her friends eclipsed the worries of saying them in public. It's been great attending your party of yours, after you two were always so nice to come to mine. Cove laughed along with her. Warm, wild days gone from the bouncy houses, noise makers, and pin the tail on the donkeys, reflected in his jubilant face. You're both amazing. And I really appreciate the support you've given me when I was there, when I needed someone to talk to. You've had such a positive impact on my life. I'm just really lucky to be your friend, and I hope we will always be friends. Congratulations, Callie and Cove. Cove nodded firmly in silent agreement with her wish, while scrubbing at his eyes. Miranda put the mic down with some then twirled around to return to her seat. Her steps were much lighter than before. Harry was waiting there with open arms to give her a squeeze, clearly proud of his girlfriend for doing so good. Her smile stayed bright even from a distance. Harry jumped onto his feet with a grin, strolling right over to the counter. He scooped up the mic with one hand, gestured ahead of him with the other. I met Cove and Kelly in high school. I didn't know them the longest out of everyone, but I could tell they were some cool people right away. Them and Randy were my best friend. Were my best group of buddies back then. We've kept that relationship train going despite all the stuff that's happened. He tapped a finger on the tabletop in time with every specific he mentioned. Graduating school, moving to different places, me and Miranda dating, the two of them getting married, and the thing about us not being what other people thought they were. Also, we lived through that one summer that wasn't just the four of us. Sometimes it was the five of us. Right, my pal Baxter? He rolled the mic even closer to his grinning mouth for emphasis, and dramatically pointed it off to the side. Now I had again. You probably hadn't planned for that. And he was right. Having quietly discussed the next steps with the server, Baxter's mouth hung open mid-word, suddenly being brought into focus outside of his expertise-laid schedule, knocked him completely off rhythm. Cove barked a gratified laugh, equally as shocked, but far more amused. Baxter's head turned in the direction of the sound, his mouth finally closed into a wry smile. It seemed Harry brought the gift of teasing people, or teasing someone other than you, Cove, and it was more more welcome offer as Cove was concerned, especially since it was taken in good spirits. There was something remarkable about being able to include Baxter in your group's merrymaking, the same way as anyone else. Harry nodded knowingly, then casually transitioned into his main point. And I guarantee our friendship is going to stay on track. No matter what, there's no one who could take your places. From me to you, and from the two of each other. Good work on tying the knot, and your catches. Harry left his speech in the mic there. He paused to applaud your union graciously, before flipping his hand out with into a wave as he walked off. Coke gave a big friendly wave in return. His eyes were glossy. Soon Harry hit his chair again. Ron took his arm, and happily began whispering to him about the speech. Harry pushed herself up from the seat and went right to the front without hesitation. Eagerly, she lifted the mic up to her lips and said, "I can't believe my babies are having a wedding right now!" That unexpected declaration sent chuckles throughout the crowd. Any whoosies? Harry continued with a wink and smile. It was a treat getting to meet Callie in person for the first time, though he felt like I knew them, thanks to all the stories Cove loved to recount about them. In a parting whisper, Cove spoke out about the descriptions of the events. Whenever I got to visit Sunset Bird, or you visited me, I came to see firsthand the more and more of what marvelous individuals you were growing up into. You bloomed right before my eyes, like perfect white poppies on the hill of your childhood neighborhood. Every moment I've been able to spend with each of you has been a gift. We've had some pretty wild times over the years. I count my lucky stars that I got to be such an amazing. I count my lucky stars that I got to be mom to such an amazing boy. And Callie? The buoyant tone of Harry's words faded into something softer and sweeter. I'd like to thank you personally for helping my baby make himself a home again. I'm truly grateful for that. There was sniffling at your side after that. Cove tugged the tablecloth in front of him, unconsciously needing to do something. Mom! Congratulations on both of you. I love you. I love you too. It didn't matter that she couldn't hear. She knew. Harry used the palm of her palm to wipe her eye, placing the mic on its stand with the other hand. She took an additional moment to look at you and Cove gently. Then Kara strode back to her table. Cove leaned over her,